Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm the Gerbil. I hope you enjoyed my previous video talking about how to mod Aayla under the new Jedi Master Mace Windu along with her recent kit update. I think it's very useful and a lot of things there to consider. So I hope to do equal justice on this one as I present to you Temple Guard Part 2 of the Mace Vanguard squad. Now, when this series of 5 is done, I will do one more video kind of just reviewing the remaining Jedi Vanguard that are available for the Order 66 raid coming soon, as well as my general thoughts on how to mod each of those. I'm not going to go into nearly the depth and scope of this series for this Mace squad. These videos do take an enormous amount of time to prepare these slides and to make sure I'm understanding the kits as best I can to present to you. So if you got anything out of it, or if you appreciate it, or if you're just entertained or whatever, do please hit that like and the subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. If I've helped you, please help me. All right, let's move on. Jedi Temple Guard under Mace Windu with Jocasta Nu, Aayla Secura, and Depa. I gotta learn her name. Anyway, so first off, there is no general concession from the top 100 guilds if you look at their modding distribution. I mean, if you look at the circle, for example, 51% of the top 100 guild players have put a health primary, 48% have put a protection primary. If you look at the cross, it's like 38, 27, 14% split between protection, health, and potency. The only thing that like really jumps out where everyone seems to agree is speed on the receiver. That's the arrow, and through the analysis in this video I'm going to suggest that that is probably inaccurate. The prevailing thought has been that we needed Jedi Temple Guard to be really fast, but now that we have Depa's kit, we have the Aayla update, and of course we have Jedi Master Mace Windu's kit, speed is less relevant on this character, and that's primarily because there's a lot of ways to taunt, especially with the GAC Omicron. I believe on Temple Guard himself, he will auto taunt at the beginning of the battle, and then there are a lot of ways to automatically trigger taunt throughout the battle. So I think the speed is a lot less necessary, and as we can see here, how people are modding with the stats: 3 health, 2 health for primary, speed and potency, defense, health, rounding it out. I'm going to break down, as I did previously, kit item by item. Then we're going to look at the leadership provided by Mace, followed by some uniques from the rest of the squad that are going to be things to consider when trying to best optimize our mods for Temple Guard. So let's get started. Before we look at any modding and even the kit, what we really want to do is make sure we understand the character's base stats. Now, I'm not looking at special resistance or anything. I'm just going to keep it very simple: general, physical, offense, and then survivability. Now, first thing I'm going to say is the great debate between health and protection primaries. Straight up, this guy has a lot of protection. At Relic 7, and as you know, tanks going into Relic 9 get the biggest boost out of Relic 9. I mean, from 7 to 9, he's going to pick up 23,000 protection and 17,000 health. That's pretty good. That's a lot, and it's worth pursuing if you can afford it. But whether you provide a health or a protection primary on the circle, the triangle, or the cross, or even the arrow, you're going to get by far the best bang for your buck out of the protection. You're going to get almost double the amount of net health pool gain by going with protection. Now, that said, there's a lot of reasons actually not to do this, but that is going to be really good, especially if you compound that. Like if you do that with all 4 mods, the arrow, the circle, the cross, the triangle, that adds up. And then if you've got, like, for example, I can't remember, somebody has an Omicron that we'll get to that's going to double those. You know, it's really worthwhile. Actually, it put more than double, like he picks up 200% of something. But there's, again, an argument to be made for health, which I'll get into in a second. Moving down, Homeboy is actually not as slow as people would suggest. He's actually about average. He ranks 178th in speed in the game out of 298 characters. So he's not actually that slow. He's right in the middle. His potency, though, is incredibly low based on the kit that we're going to look at. Starting at 36% potency is something that has to be corrected. His tenacity is quite high. 101 base tenacity is really, really good. At that level, he's got a good chance to resist most things, unless it is non-resistible, as it seems most new characters have been for the last 3 years, which kind of negates tenacity anyway. Moving on, physical offense, we're going to ignore this for the entirety of this video. The guy is just not, or girl is just not going to put out any offense worth concerning ourselves with. But there is a potential benefit on his basic that may make this guy or girl an absolute superstar in the Order 66 raid, which I'll explain in a second. That said, we don't care about offense. Moving down to physical survivability, as a tank, he is well above average. His base armor rate is already above GL Leia, above Kenobi, above like Cara Dune, above a lot of characters. Balin and I think Malik were the only two I looked at, I think, that had higher armor. I don't recall offhand. But the point is, good average or above average armor, absolute middle line speed, super terrible potency, very good tenacity, and one of the heaviest base protection units in the game. Okay, so let's move on now. If you want to stop here, you can screenshot this. This is how I'm recommending modding, with a potential note on the very bottom. It says defense and potency mod sets are a strong alternative. Now I'm going to justify all of this in depth in just a second, but we'll go ahead and get through this for anybody who's short on time. Once again, if you like this, please like and subscribe. But I hope you stick with me, because you'll probably learn a lot about both the character, the Order 66 raid, and team synergy as we go with this. Now, I am going to run, for now, 6 health mods. I may swap one of these out for a potency set. Probably not going to add any more defense. Now, the one that's going to stand out the most is that the arrow, I am running a crit avoidance mod. Absolutely, unapologetically, without any doubt, I'm running a crit avoidance mod on this fella. Now, I have a pretty good one here. It's got 20 speed, it's got 11% protection, and 4.5% defense. That is like really, really good for a tank, especially for a tank like this guy. As far as the triangle goes, I'm absolutely putting protection. For the primary on the cross, I'm torn. Right now I have potency, but I'm like 99% sure I'm going to leave that as potency. And for the circle, it's going to be protection also. My targets are on the far side over there in pink. The headline says this is what I'm aiming for. I'm not quite there yet. I'm still optimizing mods, but these are my minimum targets. 275 speed. This is base plus mod. This is not including kits and other character uniques and things, leaderships. This is just him by himself, base stat plus mod, no kit synergy. Now there's going to be a lot of that, and which we'll get to. So 275 speed, 80% potency, 130,000 protection, 80,000 health, 68% defense, crit avoid at 35%. All right, that's what I'm aiming for. Now, let me justify this and hopefully blow your mind on some of this. First up, I'm gonna cross my fingers and hope that this guy is going to be an unsung hero of Order 66 raid. Let's explain why. As we read this kit, straight down below me, we'll see yellow, green, and white underlines. Yellow is going to relate to crit avoidance, green will be obviously defense, and then white is potency. For the most part, we're not going to care about whatever else is in there, because nothing else is really going to pop up. So let's read this. Deal physical damage to target enemy, inflict defense down. In order to inflict defense down, you have to have potency. Remember, his base potency starts at 36%, which is nasty, terribly bad. So you're going to need potency in order for him to inflict defense down. And why does that matter? Because if it's his turn and he's taunting, attack a second time. That's good. It cannot be countered. Fine. And if the enemy has defense down, which he hopefully just inflicted defense down, attack a third time. Now, why is this relating to Order 66? Now, details are still a bit sketchy, But in the Order 66 post from Capital Gains, the way it works is we're going to beat up on a whole bunch of dark side clone troopers. When the clone troopers, the enemy clone troopers die, I think it's when any of them die, I can't recall, it will distract Lord Vader, and then it said we had to target him 3 times. Now, if that means hit him 3 times, attack him 3 times, whatever, there's a possibility then that this attack does it in 1 turn. When you quote, target Lord Vader 3 times in Order 66, a Jedi escapes, which is how you get the bulk of your points, it looks like. Again, details to be determined, gameplay could vary, but if it is actually deal damage 3 times and not just target, then, because I don't know what target means in reality, but if it's deal damage 3 times, then this guy's doing it on basic, free Jedi, lots of points, right? So this could be critically important right there, that you get the potency on him so that he triple taps. All right, let's move on. Fear leads to anger. Deal physical damage to all enemies and ability block them. Now this can be resisted, which means we again need potency. We need lots of potency. For each enemy that was ability blocked, Jedi, which is going to be your entire team, are going to recover 5% health and protection, doubled for Vanguard. That means if you ability block the entire enemy team, your whole squad is going to recover 50% health and protection. That means you need lots of potency, because 36% potency is not going to ability block the enemy teams. It ain't going to happen. So you really need potency here, a lot of it. Now then, the third ability, or second special, Stoic Determination. Temple Guard gains critical avoidance up. Now this is a relatively new buff in the game. It gives you plus 50% critical avoidance. This is huge. This is also why you want the crit avoidance arrow. Between the two, now we are at 85% crit avoidance, which means most characters will not be able to crit him at all once this happens. Most. Then he's going to taunt, okay, and another light side ally is going to gain stealth. You probably do not want to stealth Aayla, FYI, because she's the one that's got the retribution and stun. So anyway, then it also says remove 20% turn meter from all enemies. That is potency determined, because turn meter removal can be resisted. So if we look at these kits, all 3 of his attack abilities have a need for potency, and they are all a high need for potency, because other than that, he's just dealing damage, and he's not going to put out enough damage for you to care about. You're going to care about the defense, the triple tap, the ability blocks, and the turn meter removal. That is what we need to focus on. All right, but there is still his unique, and this one gets nasty. In addition to gaining crit avoidance up, first line says he starts automatically with 10% crit avoidance and extra defense. That's good. So now if we had 50% crit avoidance from up, the buff, 35 from a mod, 10, now we're up to 95% crit avoidance. Yes, a well-modded Han Solo is still going to shoot for what, like 140% crit chance or something? A lot of attackers still do. But we are substantially negating their crit avoidance chance, especially now if we read the next line. For each relic amplifier level, Temple Guard's going to gain an additional 5% crit avoidance and 10% defense, doubled for when he has crit avoidance up. So we want to make sure he keeps that crit avoidance up, which is also why the high tenacity is pretty good. Hopefully it doesn't get dispelled or something. Although I don't know that that dispel is a... Scratch that. Forget I even said that. Anyway, he's got 10% extra crit avoidance per relic level when he has crit avoidance up. So if he's relic 7, you can see down below, I've done the math for you. He starts off with 10% crit avoidance in his kit, 35% crit avoidance for relic 7. If he's got the crit avoidance bonus buff, he's going to gain an additional 50% from that, an additional 35% from the per relic level here, for 130% crit avoidance. Now some characters are still going to hit a crit. Some are going to still be rocking like 150, 160%. Nisa, for example, in Territory Wars is rocking 210 before, I think, any mods go into play. It's pretty high. So, yeah, but you're not going to be fighting Nisa. Don't worry about it. It's just an example. So, at 130, you are uncrittable to most characters, but still plenty will hit you. Therefore, you put that arrow on it. Now he's at 165% crit avoidance and almost indestructible. right? I'll show you the math on the value of that here in a second too. Moving on down, at the start of the battle, blah, 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 gain 40% protection up. Now this is weird. Protection up 40% is based on your health. Protection up and bonus protection are both calculated from your character's health pool. So the more health he has, the more protection up he's going to gain. I know, it's weird. It's very, very weird. Max protection is not based on health. That's based on protection. Anyway, the first time each Jedi Vanguard ally loses all protection, and you want this, he's going to gain critical avoidance up. Now, this is one reason I said in my previous Aayla video, you don't want to mod her for lots of protections. You actually want your allies systematically, as the battle progresses, you actually want them to lose protection. So less protection so that this triggers. Less protection, more health on your allies, for the most part. That way this triggers, because that gives him that extra 70 or 85% crit avoidance at just Relic 7. Now, Relic 9, it's even higher, right? So again, protection is good on him. Health is going to give him more protection up, but your allies really want health over protection. Now then, if you put the Omicron on him, and holy smokes, this is not one to pass up. In Grand Arena, he's going to get an additional 50% offense, defense, and potency. My goodness, folks, you need that potency. But if all allies are Vanguard, and I missed this line in my Aayla video, that is doubled. So 100% defense, 100% potency. That's going to take him pre-modded now to 136% potency to land those debuffs. That is fabulous. And then at the start of the battle, he's going to gain the critical avoidance up. And captive. You want captive. That's so good. But anyway, the point here is we need that potency to land the debuffs. The arrow is going to make him virtually indestructible when we tack on all these other crit avoidances. The caveat to this Omicron is that if there's a galactic legend on the battlefield, then this Omicron just fizzles. At least the first part of it does. I don't know if the second part does. The second part probably does not. Captive should still work. He should still start with crit avoidance up, but you're not going to get the 50% defense, offensive potency. So be careful. Don't put this guy with his Omicron under Jedi Master Luke, for example. All right, so now where does all this take us? That is all looking at Jedi Temple Guard himself. We still need to look at the squad. Mace is not doing much for him. He's going to give him 10 speed. Fine. But that 10 speed actually comes in really handy because, like I said, he's very average. He's right in the middle. But this is going to push him ahead of a lot of other folks. Aayla is really important here. Ayla's going to give him 30% max health, 30% potency, more tenacity, which is great, but he already had a lot, so he's now at 131 tenacity unmodded. And then 30% max protection. Now this is another moment where health mods might be better because that max protection goes away in the event that Aayla is defeated. So let's suppose you got 100,000 protection. Ayla's going to give him 30% more. He's at 130 now. But if Aayla dies, that's like Temple Guard being hit for not 30. Yeah, that's like Temple Guard being hit for 30,000 protection. It goes away. He loses that max protection. So he would not otherwise lose the health. The health would persist even when Aayla's defeated. At least that's the way I'm reading it. Now that I'm reading it again, all of those might go away. All Jedi Vanguard allies gain X, Y, and Z until the end of the battle. Oh, no, until the end of the battle. Right. So the health does not go away, but the max protection would, right? So if you're really concerned and you're going in something grindy or you think it's going to be grindy, then the max protection is less effective in this regard. Now, in territory battles, again, I know how much we all love territory battle Omicrons, but if you do that one, he'll gain 200% max health and offense, which he's still going to hit like a wet noodle, but then tanks, aka Temple Guard, are going to gain 200% bonus protection. That is, again, based on his max health. So if you do go for all max health mods, he's going to get an incredible amount of bonus out of that in territory battles and a more persistent, value with Aayla on the sidelines. Right? That said, I'm still probably going to go with protection just because it's a lot of difference. All right, now then, we are almost done, folks. Promise, we really are. So if we now look at the base stats with all of these character abilities, going in at Relic 7 before you apply mods, based on Aayla's kit, Mace's leadership, Temple Guard's kit, then he will start at Relic 7 at 74,000 health, 94,000 almost protection, 163 speed, 66% potency. In GAC, 166% potency, assuming there's no enemy GLs and you don't have one. Armor's going to shoot way up to 141, up to 311%. Now, that's going to again depend on that Omicron and some other stuff that I didn't get into. He gains 10% defense per relic level, or was it 20? It's 20% if he has avoidance up. 10% without it, 20% if he has avoidance up per relic level. It's insane. So because of that, I actually don't recommend modding him for defense. He's already going to have stupid high defense. And then anywhere from 10 to 130% crit avoidance, depending on getting that crit avoidance buff. So what do you want to upgrade? Potency is still the weak link, because if there's a GL, he loses 100% potency and he needs that potency. Health protection, no matter what, is good. He's a tank, and crit avoidance, in my opinion, is probably the best way to go on that arrow. So here's the math. Let's say you got 100,000 protection and no crit avoidance, 0%. The enemy has a 90% crit chance. So what's the chance they're going to hit you with a crit? 90%. How much damage? Let's just pretend, okay, for the sake of argument, they hit you for 30,000 damage. I don't care about armor, just 30,000 damage off the top. But their crit damage modifier is 240% because they're an attacker. That means they hit you for 72,000 damage. However, you got that crit avoidance on there. They now have a 0% critical chance. They do not get the crit damage bonus. All their crit damage mods are worthless. You negate all of those. They hit you for 30. The difference is 42,000 damage. You saved 42,000 damage in this example by having crit avoidance. Now, hypothetically, instead of having a crit avoidance arrow and you put on like a protection primary on the arrow, for example, it's going to give you, in this situation, 24,000 protection. But you just got hit instead for 72,000. In other words, you actually have a net loss of 18,000 damage by putting the protection mod on there. Of course, you can recover that, which is great. But personally, I would much rather get hit for a lot less and still work on recovering health and protection than be getting hit for a whole lot because of that critical damage modifier. Now, if my math is wrong on this, or if I'm misunderstanding something, let me know in the comments, but I'm 90% sure I'm not. So this is my crit avoidance arrow that I am running on him. 20 speed, that's a pretty good one. Would love to have more. 11% protection and some defense. You really want to focus on protection and health percentages as well as defense percentages, not static numbers. And then keep in mind, for me, like whatever mod you have is going to be different, but my opportunity cost, what I'm acknowledging and losing, is potential for 12 speed if I was running a speed arrow, and a potential for 13% protection had I run a protection primary. Those numbers, though, are insignificant to me to the extra 35% crit avoidance that's going to help me push my guard up to like that, what I say, 165%. And if I Relic 9 him, that's going to go up to 109 or 185% crit avoidance. There's no other character in the game, I think, that goes that high based on like this method. Like there's some, the crit hit immunity is different. I don't remember what that is, but even then it's not purely immunity. It's just a stupidly high number. All right, so yeah, here we are rounding it back out to the end. Hallelujah, if you stuck around with me, I hope all this made sense. But this is how I am modding my Temple Guardian. I am modding him in mind with the 3 attack abilities all being potency dependent. So I'm going to put the potency on the cross. I'm going to push mine minimum potency up to... Sorry, something just moved and scared the crap out of me. I don't know what it was. And I'm just like hoping that wasn't a mouse or something. Actually, I don't mind if it was a mouse, but I don't want it to be. Anyway, yeah. So again, with the Omicron, he's not going to be rocking up to 180% potency. You really want that. You want as much potency as you can. But At the end of the day, he's a tank. He needs to take hits. So health and protection are never bad. Ignore static secondaries if you can, like the flat numbers, and screw offense. It's not going to matter. Just don't even worry about the offense. All right, folks, once again, please give me a like, give me a subscribe if you enjoyed this, and stick around throughout the week as I try to crank out the next 3 videos for who else is in the squad? Jocasta new, Depa. I don't know why my mind just keeps saying Depa. Depa, and eventually Jedi Master Luke. Oh my God, I need to go to bed.